All right, folks, welcome in. This is your Rams Bleacher Report post game. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. I do this every week. And if you haven't followed me, be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan, including on this app, the BR app at JK Bogan as well. I'm also on YouTube. So you just can look up Jake Ellenbogen and you will find me on YouTube. I do a live stream after every single Rams game, both on here and on YouTube. So you can check that out after this live stream. So let's talk about it because this was an ugly one, but a win is a win. And I can't stress that enough. It is not easy, and you can't take any win for granted in the National Football League. And I said this team was definitely going to win this game. I thought it'd be by a blowout, and I thought they had multiple opportunities to do that. But you got to give credit to the Raiders defense. I thought the Raiders put the Rams in some really unique positions that they haven't been in the whole year. No matter what you say about the Rams offense and Sean McVay, they've been able to at least throw the ball or run the ball the whole season. However, for whatever reason, because the Raiders did what they did, showing those 8 and 9 guys in the boxes, well, it made it a little bit harder for Kyron Williams to run in this game. He had 21 carries for 76 yards. That only comes out to be a 3.6 yards per carry average. A lot of people will scoff at that. But when you factor in the fact that they had 3 of their top offensive linemen out and you're going up against 8 and 9 guys in the box, well, it's hard to run against that front. Then on the passing game, they weren't allowing, Matthew Stafford to get it out. Now, this is the thing here. Matthew Stafford was being forced to pass it, right? Because they were loading up the box, which means they're putting extra defenders in there. They're doing run blitzes, all of that. They're basically neutralizing the ground game. But one thing that also leads to is when you have a rookie center who isn't really as well versed, say, in communication on the fly and isn't quite, used to the speed of the NFL yet, and you have a UDFA rookie left guard in Justin Diedick, of course, with Bo Limmer, this is going to make it tougher. And you have these really good pass rushers up front. I mean, say what you will, but Max Crosby is one of the best in the game. And so the Raiders apply that pressure up front in the pass attack. So now Stafford's kind of limited to being like forced to throw underneath, throw the short, take the short passing. But then in addition to that, you can't really run the football. And so when you're trying to get, deep plays down the field, you just can't. And so the Raiders did a really nice job of neutralizing the big play. I know Tyler Johnson made a nice play after a quick slant, made a really nice play after the catch, got 37 on that play. And then Colby Parkinson on a nice, bootleg against play action bootleg against Stafford's body. He throws it over. Nobody's around Parkinson because of how well the play was drawn up by Sean McVay. You do get those opportunities, but there weren't a lot of opportunities. And the Rams, really, this game shouldn't have been close, but at the same time, it should have. The offense was really neutralized for the most part. Kyron Williams was Mr. Reliable, per usual, 2 touchdowns in the red zone. And you look at the Raiders, and I thought the Rams defense did a really nice job. By the way, how many times do you normally see this? Because I don't think it's very many. Gardner Minshew and Matthew Stafford finished with the same amount of yards passing, the exact same amount of yards passing. Stafford didn't get sacked, as much as, Minshew. He had 2 sacks, and, Stafford only had 1. But I thought that was really fascinating there. And Stafford only went 14 of 23. So it's not like he was throwing a lot. And Minshew went 15 of 34. Madison on the ground got going a little bit. And then the Rams, I thought, really buckled down in the ground game. Brock Bowers was their key. This was going to be their game plan. The Raiders come into this. If they can neutralize the Rams ground game, if they can neutralize the passing attack, then now we can just kind of force feed Brock Bowers. And if they ever key in on Brock Bowers, well, now it's going to open up the door for some of these younger wide receivers. Don't have the experience necessarily to, get open. They're not as crafty of route runners as you would want. But like a DJ Turner here, who had 7 targets, only caught 2 of them for 13, but he had 7 targets. Tucker caught 3 of his 8. So that was really, I think, the game plan going in is Brock Bowers is going to be the central point of this offense. They wanted to run it early. They did have success with Madison. Clearly, Aiden O'Connell was the guy that they wanted to go with because he didn't turn the ball over. Well, Minshew, you can see now why they moved on from Minshew and went to Aiden O'Connell. But when, Aiden O'Connell went down, Minshew's a really good backup to have. Unfortunately for the Raiders, he played right into the Rams' hands. I thought the Rams had a great game plan for the Raiders on the defensive side. Defense, they deserve all the credit in the world. They held the Raiders to 15 points. If you can hold any offense to 15 points in this league, you're going to win most of the games that you play. Michael Hoyt was great today. He got a sack. Kobe Durant had a forced fumble and an interception. McCullough had 2 interceptions. So, I thought that was really an impressive outing. Got to give a lot of credit to Cameron Curl, who had 2 pass breakups. Akello Witherspoon probably made the play of the game, in my opinion. The reason I say that is don't forget, it was 2022. Both teams weren't going anywhere. Baker Mayfield was starting 40. He didn't even start, but he pretty much did. Played the majority of the game over John Wolford, and he only had 48 hours to prepare for that start on Thursday Night Football against the Raiders. That game was horrendous, but the final drive was magic. They started in their own territory. Baker had a huge play. He threw up to Ben Skoranek at the time. Skoranek mossed the corner that was on him, and it set up a drive in which the Rams capped it off with the game-winning touchdown to Van Jefferson. And then, of course, they got a pick on the final drive on the other side with Derek Carr. But here's the deal. Akello Witherspoon on that same play that we saw, almost the exact same spot, just everything was so similar. Minshew throws it up, looking for the deep ball, because you need a deep ball on a drive like that. He throws it up, and Akello Witherspoon breaks up the play. It was an outstanding job by Witherspoon because we watched the same thing 2 years ago when Ben Skoranek went up and took the ball out of the corner's hand and made the catch and continued on this crazy drive within a minute. So say what you will, but I'll tell you right now, this is an important win. It wasn't pretty. I'm understanding of that. I'm understanding you probably were hoping for more. I'm understanding that this is a Vegas Raiders team that has gotten blown out 2 weeks in a row, but the Rams just had to have it. And another thing that is important to bring up here is they held out Cooper Kupp and they held out Joe Noteboom, who they need, and they held them out with hopes they win this game. You move on to Thursday night. Now those guys are going to be fresh, ready to go, and I think they both play on Thursday night. But we weren't told ahead of time. We did not know ahead of time that Jordan Whittington was going to be virtually a non-factor. So that was really an issue, I think, for the Rams offense that I felt was I would say this. I think they were very predictable. I think they were very one-dimensional. I know you see, Tyler Johnson come away with 4 catches for 57 yards. He didn't have that until the end of the game. 37 of those came on that final drive and that final play. Tutu Atwell, 6 catches on 9 targets for 51 yards. It was the Tutu Atwell and Kyron Williams show for the majority of the game, and they weren't really able to get much going. Demarcus Robinson has just not really shown that he's that great of a receiver when he's not on the field with somebody like a Cooper Kupp and a Puka Nacua. That's just the way it is. Same with Tyler Johnson, although he had a nice play. No one is scared of this Rams tight end room right now. Hunter Long, Colby Parkinson, they don't really even throw to Davis Allen anymore, which is a darn shame. And they had a missed extra point and a missed field goal. So theoretically, this should have been probably 24-15. Ugly still, but hey, it should have been 24-15. Cardi missed his second field goal of the season. He missed an extra point, and that's where we're at. So looking at this game, I understand it didn't go down maybe the way that you were hoping for, but they got their second win. Hallelujah. It was hard. They made it way harder than it had to be. They got their second win. Thank God they did. The Raiders, they ran way more plays than the Rams. They had more success through the air than the Rams. They had more success rushing than the Rams. They had more first downs. They beat them in the time of possession battle. But this right here killed them. Just undisciplined, really bad penalties. The turnovers killed them. And that's where we stand. So, McCullough with the 2 interceptions, he's got 3 on the year now. He's only played in 2 games. Heck of a performance for him. He is going to continue to get more playing time. I like what I see with this Rams defense. My only concern is, to Alex's point, I mean, right now, every team is going to attack Christian Roseboom and Troy Reeder, whether that's running the football downhill, whether that's, trying to take advantage of them, through the air. Like, that's how I feel. So I agree with you there. I do. And yeah, right now, I'm hoping. I know it was after the bye, and I was expecting something different. I'm hoping at some point they're going to see, yeah, Reeder and Roseboom are kind of the weakest link of the bunch. But currently, I feel really good about the defense outside of those guys. I thought you saw some really good things out of Verse, really good things out of Byron Young. By the way, people get on Jared Verse because pressures and not enough sacks. Well, that pressure at the end of the game mattered. That forced the interception. That ultimately sealed the deal. Bobby Brown was important. He had a tackle for a loss. So this was all hands on deck. And I don't care what the coaches say or whatever. They knew going into this game, they knew they were going to win this game. They felt confident they were going to win this game. It's why they held out Cooper Kupp and they held out Joe Noteboom. That's why. And there you go. Exactly. That is why they did it. Because now they'll be ready for Thursday against a really tough Vikings team. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Jordan Whittington was banged up, but who knew that he was going to be banged up? Like, who knew that? That was the thing. Like, we were told that he was going to be good to go. So that was a little frustrating to see a guy that, is such a key contributor. But I think we learned a lot about the Rams in this game. Don't sleep on their defense. This is what I've been saying to start the season. This isn't going to be a lockdown, shutdown defense, but this is going to be a defense that's opportunistic and can generate turnovers and give the offense more possessions. I thought the offense would be better, but I also didn't foresee Cooper Kupp getting hurt, Puka Nacua getting hurt, half the offensive line getting hurt. I didn't foresee that, and I don't think many people did. So it's been tough. It has. But you know what? This week 7 game, all it is a win. No one is going to be talking about this in week 12, week 13, week 14. No one is going to be like, man, I know we're 6-4, whatever they end up being. But, not being able to beat the Raiders by more than 5 really, really bothers me still. Like, no, a win is a win. And by the way, the Raiders lost to the Raiders beat the Ravens. Like, the Ravens are one of the better teams in football, and the Raiders beat them. I'm not saying that, I'm very well aware of the guys that played, the guys that didn't play, all that. But, yeah, that did happen. That did happen for sure. So, very, very interesting game today. A game that I'll tell you right now, it started off like every Rams game this year. They look like they should be winning. They kick field goals. The other team gets a touchdown, whatever. The Raiders struck first. And that's kind of the thing here. I mean, the Raiders score first. The Rams get 14 in that column in the second quarter. And they only score 6 the rest of the way, and that's enough. I continue to be so impressed with Kyren Williams' ability in the red zone. He's almost an automatic. And that's just the reality of it. So he's almost automatic in the red zone. And they need that. They need to be able to score. They need to get that thing going. I think just a quick preview for the Vikings game. I think this is going to be, this offense is going to be a lot better than people realize. Not having Cooper Kupp mattered. But then I think a lot of people are going to scoff and pretend that, Jordan Whittington was a part of this game when he really wasn't. Jordan Whittington came in at the end of the game to block. That's about it. So, getting Whittington back next week and Cooper Kupp, or this Thursday, and Cooper Kupp and Joe Noteboom, I think it's going to go a long way. And by all means, if people are out on this team because they finally won a game other than the NFC West, if people are out on the Rams because they barely beat the Raiders, by all means, be out on the team. But don't be surprised that they win on Thursday. The Vikings just played a really tough game down to the wire, and they lost to the Lions by 2. We'll see how they respond, but now they have to go on the road following that on a short week going up against a Dan Campbell coached team. We've already seen the after effects of that starting to look like the 49ers last year. After every single time a team played the 49ers, they lost. Well, the Vikings just played the Lions. We'll see if that continues, but they just lost their first game of the year. Are they going to hold it together? Are they going to collapse? We're going to find out. Keep in mind, they ran out of time, but the Packers scored 22 unanswered in the fourth quarter against the Vikings and almost took that game away. So are the Vikings starting to kind of slow down a little bit? They give up a lot through the air. I think getting Cooper Kupp back and Whittington, the Rams are probably going to have their best offensive performance of the year next week. Or I keep saying next week, but on Thursday. I just think it's a perfect fit for them. But we will see. I don't think anybody should be upset, though, about this. A win is a win. It's hard to win the NFL. How many times do you see, wow, they lost that game? They should have won that. Well, I'll give you an example. The Seahawks today, they won 34-14 on the road. Who thought the Falcons, who were 4-2 and two of their losses were wicked close against really good defenses, who thought the Falcons were going to lose to the Seahawks after the way the Seahawks looked, losing 3 straight? And sure enough, that's what happened. So right now, the NFC West is messy. You're absolutely right. It is very messy. And the Rams have as much of a shot as any of those teams. The Cardinals have a shot. We'll see if they can beat the Chargers or if they lose to the Chargers on Monday Night Football. For whatever reason, there's a doubleheader. Couldn't tell you as to why, but there is one. Right now, the Rams are 2-4. The Cardinals are 2-4. The 49ers are 3-4. And Seattle is 4-3. And if Seattle, and this is the thing, the Rams have Seattle after the Vikings game. So Seattle needed to win this game because it's not going to be easy the next 3 games. They got the Bills, Rams, and 49ers in San Francisco, a team that they just do not beat. They have not played well against the Rams and the Bills. That's going to be in Seattle as well as the Rams game. But still, those are teams that you probably don't want to face, especially the Rams. They could have most of their players back by that game. So that's a huge game. They get a mini bye week coming off that. That's what Seattle's working with in the short term. Then you have the Cardinals twice. You got the Jets, the Packers, the Vikings, the Bears, the Rams. Seattle does not have an easy road. So this is a big win for them against the Falcons, but by no means does it mean they're about to win the NFC West. In addition to that, the 49ers probably lost Ayuk for the year. I don't know what the deal is with Samuel, but that Ayuk knee injury, his knee went backwards. So I'm going to assume that he's out for an extended period of time, could be the end of the year. I know there was a hip injury going on and Juwan Johnson sat out. So that's an interesting thing there because the 49ers don't have Ayuk and you have, Juwan Johnson dealing with stuff. And, you had Deebo Samuel leave the game. They lost by 10 to the Chiefs. They got the Cowboys. They can win that game. They got the Bucks, the Seahawks, the Packers, the Bills, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins. They have the Lions, the second to last game of the year, and the Cardinals. The 49ers don't have it easy either. They have a little bit easier than the Seahawks, I would say, a little bit because they get to play the Dolphins. But that Dolphins team at the end of the year could be a lot different than what we see right now. Tua probably will be back by that point. And I don't think the Cowboys are very good, but they've always done well against the Cowboys. So there's that. But the Bucks, they've played well. Seahawks, you have them still another time. You get the Cardinals again, who you lost to in Buffalo. That's not going to be easy. I just think that, the 49ers have some tough matchups ahead. And then you look at the Cardinals and, they got the Chargers, in Arizona on Monday. They got the Dolphins. They got the Bears, the Jets, the Seahawks, the Vikings, the Seahawks again, Patriots, Panthers, Rams, 49ers. They have an easier road than I would say those two have. And then the Rams, I'd probably say the Cardinals have the easiest road. The Rams are going to be playing the Vikings, but then they have the Seahawks, who I think they're going to beat there. They have the Dolphins, the Patriots, the Eagles, the Saints, the Bills, the 49ers, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. That could end up being a really tough road. But hey, they came off the bye last year. And when they came off the bye last year, they won an ugly game against Seattle without Kyron Williams, without their star player, right? Their star player that we were hoping could come back, but he couldn't because he was on IR. They won that game 17-16. After that, they proceeded to go on a run of 37-14, 36-19. They lost an overtime game against Baltimore in Baltimore 37-31. 28-20 over the Washington Commanders, 30-22 in a game that really probably was more of a blowout than it really looked against the New Orleans Saints on Thursday. Sunday, they barely beat the New York Giants in Week 17 to secure a spot in the playoffs, and then they beat San Francisco with backups to win 21-20. Tough game, but they still won. So, it's not over. It's not over. Does not matter how they won. All that matters is they won. They got that second win. They actually are in a great position because they can get a third win before the next week even hits because they're the start of next week. So we're going to see what ends up happening. But that's going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Be sure to follow me on all social media at JK Bogan, including this app on BR. And of course, be sure to check out, all my content on YouTube, Jake Ellenbogen. I will see you guys in the next one after the Rams play the Vikings. You guys take care. We'll see you soon.